Welcome back to Producer's Toolbox. I'm your host, Carol Adrian, and today we have a really special guest. This person's job involves making sure that many thousands of people across the tri-state area wake up in a good mood. His is one of the first voices I hear in the morning, and he brings me the music I love: Billie Eilish, Adele, The Killers, Eminem, Dua Lipa. He is Bennett, the morning show host and the morning star of WTDY FM 96.5, Philly's new upbeat, positive radio station. We are so happy that you're here. Welcome, Bennett, and thank you for all that you do.
Oh my gosh, that was so nice. Carol, thank you for having me. This is an honor. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, we're very happy to have you here. So let me plunge right in. Been wondering, did you always want to be a DJ, or did you find your way there through some circuitous or nefarious means?
A little bit of both, right? So my dad is actually still in radio. He's a morning show host in Hudson Valley, New York. And so he was doing that job when I was a little kid. So I was in awe of him, watching him host events and charities thing. You know what I mean? Like he still is my role model, right? I mean, I wanted to be like my father, and hearing him each and every morning, giving my school a 2-hour delay in the morning, you know what I mean? Like he was my drive time companion as well, even though he was my father. And so as I got older, though, I wanted to be an actor. I got headshots. I was going to move to LA. It was going to be a whole thing. But then I was doing street team at like 17 years old, 18. And my program director at the time, Scotty Mack, who I adore, he was like, I think you should be on the air. I think you need to, come over here to the dark side, to the on-air programming world. And I was like, no, you're crazy. And I hopped on the air at 2:00 in the morning on a Tuesday, right? No one's listening. And I fell in love. The first time I cracked the microphone, I was like, this is it. And it's been a wrap ever since. Been on the air now for 17 years.
Wow. So it was a pretty straight shot once somebody gave you that little and said you're good at this.
Yeah, gave me the confidence and gave me that little boost between my father and Scotty, kind of gave me that nudge. Because when you're that young, you don't have your voice yet, or at least most people don't. And so you don't really know what you're really good at or anything. So sometimes you need that boost.
Well, one thing that surprised me, so you're on from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m.
Yeah.
But that gig is not a 4-hour gig. You are not running home to make a BLT and watch soaps after that.
No.
I made a rough list off the top of my head of the things that I'm aware of that you also do besides playing music. So you talk to callers. You give entertainment news. You comment on current sports. Go Flyers. You run prize competitions. You rescue animals and find homes for homeless dogs, which I love. You intro special events. You invite audience participation. You show up at all kinds of PR. That's a big gig.
It's honestly so much fun. I don't consider any of that to be work. I told my boss day one, I don't have hobbies. Like, this is my hobby. Like, I love all the different aspects of the job that you just laid out. I love it all. So with my show, I love how the listener is my co-host, right? That's always been my goal when I was doing mornings, is to have the caller, the listener, be right here in the co-pilot seat. So I love topics. I love trying to be relatable and just, have some fun in the morning, be very lighthearted. And then all the other aspects, doing events, I love meeting listeners face to face and having that connection. And you mentioned the Pennsylvania SPCA, working with them and doing my Pet of the Week segment each and every week. It's really hard to say goodbye to those dogs each week. I want to take them all home. I need a farm or something. I need more property. We already have a zoo as it is. But all of those things. I have Franklin the turtle. I got 5 cats, a toddler. It's madness. It's mayhem. But, finding these dogs their forever home and their families, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So a lot of different hats you wear doing the morning show job, but I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Uh-huh. there's something else that you do that really moves me, which is that you are a champion of mental health. And I did notice something like, made me think something about your job, which is like, there are no down days for your job. And this spring, I was listening to your show in the morning, as usual. And later in the day, I saw in my news feed that your 14-year-old dog had passed. And I thought, and I know you were crazy about him. And there was no hint of that in your delivery that morning. So you really have to kind of compartmentalize in a serious way. And yet you really do bring up your own anxieties, insecurities, which is a way to bring everybody else into it. It's like, yeah, I feel that way too. And you champion organizations that support mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know what I deal with on a day-to-day basis inside my own head. And I know other people are going through similar situations. Everyone's kind of carrying something heavy with them. And many of us are carrying this load in silence, right? We burden ourselves with this. And so I'm aware of that. I know what I'm dealing with. And so I always want people to feel happy, to feel like they're a part of something, to feel, even if it's for 30 seconds, even if it's for a minute, you know what I mean? Just temporary relief of whatever is going on. That was always my mindset when I wanted to do this, whether it's, a laugh or, talk about something that's relatable. I always go in there with a mission. And I hope I get to pull it off each morning. I hope it's working. But, over the years, you definitely, what I think being on the air is therapeutic for me. It's therapy. Going on the air, closing the door. It's just me and the microphone and the audience. And you can kind of shut the world out, whether it was my dog passing or whatever the case may be that was happening in my life. It's kind of like, let's go have some fun for 4 hours, this window of time. Let's just go have some fun. And I know that if I show what's happening in my world and I peel the layers off a little bit and I show my vulnerability, then I think the listeners will welcome that and maybe show me theirs as well. And we kind of grow as a family. And that's kind of what I wanted to build.
I think you absolutely do. And I must say, just as a producer, I'm always impressed that you bring personal things in, but you don't change the trajectory of the show. Like yesterday, you were saying your 4-year-old Kira, like, had a meltdown at the park, did not want to go home.
Sure did.
And you mentioned your wife Paulina is a true crime fan, and that sort of normalized it for me because I've become like a TV law nerd since the Johnny Depp trial. I now know all these things, but it's not like we're then going to call you up for recipes. I mean, it's you normalize it and you move on. And the main part of the show is still the music and bringing people in to, like, it really does become a community, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's always, the goal is to kind of put the spotlight, once I share, then I put the spotlight on the listeners, add to whatever the topic may be that day and a moment in time. And then we'll have repeat callers. So I feel like the audience gets to know the characters calling in. It's just this whole family vibe.
We all know Dawn now.
You all know Dawn. How could you not? Dawn from South Philly. You got a lot of regulars, and I'm so grateful.
I had asked you sent a wonderful picture that we can take a look at that. I always think when I'm listening to you in the morning, what are you looking at? What is your soundboard like? And so we have a picture of that now. I mean, that's no easy thing to navigate. You make a lot of stuff happen there, sound effects and.
Yeah, there's a lot of buttons. I know what only 3 buttons do. The rest, I have no idea. I just stare at it. No, it looks more intimidating than it is. Back in the day, 17 years ago when I started, everything was manual. Everything, you were moving and shaking everything, we had 8 different pots, we call them, and you are manually segging each and every song. You're segging commercials. it's a lot of technical work, where now I'm grateful of technology. I primarily just have to worry about the content, what's coming out of my mouth throughout the morning. A lot of the, technical stuff, it's kind of streamlined now, so it's nice. But a lot of phone calls, so I have to make sure, I'm not sure in the picture I sent if the Vox Pro is in there. The Vox Pro is where I record all my phone calls that come in. I don't air anything live just in case,
I wondered. Yeah.
gets too crazy, right? So I record and then I play it back within like a minute or two from taping. But that's obviously my best friend, the phone lines and the Vox Pro, and then a lot of lights, a lot of buttons, huh? It's took me some years to get a lot of that down.
The video editor I work with, John Anthony, he said, for years I had this 12-foot board. He said, now I have a mouse.
Yeah. It's really very streamlined. And then with COVID, I was doing the show in my guest room. So, I have a little console like this big that powered my whole show. It was wild.
Wow.
They made it happen. Yeah. For a year.
What would you say are the specific skills you need to handle something like that? I mean, obviously you have to be comfortable with what's happening, the progression of things, in order to even deal with it in a streamlined way. But what would you say are the main personality and technical skills that you're drawing on?
I think in terms of technical, editing is a big thing. I edit phone calls all morning long. So it takes a long time when you first start editing phone calls. It took me forever. Now you see me and it's crazy how fast I'm going, and I'm sweating and not talking to anyone that comes in. So editing is a big thing. In terms of personality, I think it's just finding your own voice. You know what I mean? Everyone brings something different to the table. And it's kind of like when I first started, it was, okay, why am I here? What's my goal here? What's the objective? And it's just finding your voice. Some people are really into music knowledge. Some people are into political talk, news. I'm into lifestyle stuff, being relatable. All day long, I will write in my notes my observations of the day. What's going on in my life? What is happening? What did Kira just do? What's my wife talking about? What am I observing at the gym or in traffic? I'm always writing notes. So I think just being aware of your surroundings, what is good content. And then, just finding your voice, and it just takes reps. It just takes, a lot of times up at the plate, you know what I mean? Take a lot of swings. They're all not going to be hits. You know what I mean? You're going to strike out a few times, but you just got to get back up to the plate, take a few more swings. So I think you just got to be a little daring, and you just got to find your voice, find who you are.
I like that. Your show is not, we like it because it is about you, but you don't make it an ego thing. It's like, you're there, you're charming, you're well-informed, and you're bringing the audience into it with you. What are your favorite parts of the gig?
That's a great question. I love the connection. I mean, when I meet my listeners in person at an event, and they are talking to me about Kira and Kalina and things that I just talked about. Like, it's just like, I'm talking to a friend, and we're just catching up, and the connection, because the radio is such an intimate medium, right? It's usually one-on-one, or, you got the kids in the back. It's very tight knit. It's very close. And so I just don't think there's any other form of entertainment quite like it. And so when you make those connections, they truly are friends, and I'll interact with them all day long, whether it be in the DMs or, out in events. So I say connection first and foremost. I was never like, the popular kid in high school or anything like that. I was kind of like head down, Walkman on. And now all of a sudden I have all these friends, and it's super cool.
Oh, now you are obviously very knowledgeable about not just contemporary music, but period stuff too. And when you talk about, social connection, and it's all very like on point and immediate. How do you do homework? How do you keep up with all this stuff that you report on and comment on?
Sure. Yeah, I am. I'm always prepping, right? So when I first started 17 years ago, I would prep for like an hour before the show, and that was kind of what it, entailed. But now, as soon as I get off the air, I'm thinking about tomorrow. And so I'm constantly scouring, and I follow everyone back on social media, because I like to see what they're up to too. I want to know what my audience is up to, what they're talking about. So I'm informed, and then I'm keeping up with all the sports. I'm keeping up on Twitter. I'm constantly refreshing, getting ideas, because if there's not something personally going on with me that I think could be relatable, then I am looking outward. What's going on in the news? What's going on in entertainment? I always like to check the pulse, right? Like what's the temperature like, and constantly reading the room.
It shows. It really shows. I mean, you're very facile with going from one thing to the next, but I am always impressed with the level at which you're informed. But I mean, you do that yourself from doing the homework. And here's that's the charm with any form of entertainment is making it look effortless, which you do, or sound effortless in your case.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But what's it now? You must get up like freakishly early. What is that like?
It used to be earlier. My alarm is not so. It's 4:45. It's hit or miss if I get up at that time. Most of the time I get up at 5. That first one is just the power of the snooze button. It feels nice. But I'm up at 5. It's not too bad. I live 15 minutes away from the studio, so it really is not bad. And the fact that I have everything kind of planned the day before, I just got to get myself dressed, get my coffee, and out the door I go, and kind of get my bearings. And I might do a few tweaks of the show plan the day of in case anything happened overnight, since I go to bed pretty much when my 4-year-old goes to bed. You know what I mean? So unless something happens overnight, I'm tweaking things, before the show starts. But I really go to bed pretty much knowing how the show's going to be the next day. So I can sleep a little bit later than I used to. So it was nice. A year ago, I was waking up at 3:45. So I get my extra hour of sleep. Yeah.
Do you know what music you're going to play, or is that a more random thing on your part?
Yeah, so luckily the music is all scheduled a couple days in advance, so that's nice. It's all laid out for me when I get there. In fact, it's so laid out, it tells me where my talk breaks are. Everything is all embedded in the show log. So it's light lifting in terms of that, all thanks to Tim and Bobby, who work in programming, who schedule and do all the music and all the hard technical stuff. And it's nice. I used to do that back in the day. I used to schedule the music logs. It's fun. It's fun.
Oh, it's like
it takes a while. It takes a while. Yes. It's fun making the playlist, but now I'm thankful Bobby and Tim, they do a great job with that.
Wow. Who are your radio heroes? Do you have any, or do you even have time to listen?
Definitely still my dad. My dad is crushing it still. He's the hardest working person I know. He's in his 70s. He's been doing this forever. He's not going to retire. They're going to have to drag him out. He's the best. And he's the hardest working person because he does more events than I do. And he taught me how to make that connection with listeners and take it that next step. Take it from on air to the events to social media. You know what I mean? Like creating that family. So definitely my dad first and foremost. And I don't get to listen as much radio as I'd like to, but I know there's so many, just in Odyssey itself. I mean, my coworkers who all, we work in a row in a hallway, and we never get to talk to each other because we're all in our own silos doing our morning shows. But, Jen and Bill over at B101, Coop over at Big 98, they all do such great work, and they're all so much fun. I see them in meetings. That's about it. But yeah.
Is the music that's played on your show the music that you personally listen to? Or do you have other musical loves?
Yeah, I'm a bit all over the place, but I love Billie Eilish, like you mentioned earlier, Sabrina Carpenter, and I love all the throwbacks too. I mean, honestly, for as long as I've been doing this format fits me where I am in my life perfectly. From the music to the content. I really do enjoy it. And then, but I like all stuff. I listen to a lot of Elvis. I listen to a lot of Frank Sinatra. I'm all over the place. I'm an old soul, but I feel like there's music to every mood, right? So I switch it up depending on what I'm cooking for dinner. Like that's kind of, I'm all over the place, but I definitely love 96.5. This is definitely the best format, the best chapter of the station for sure.
I agree. It's interesting though. Sometimes when I knew you were coming on the show, and I do like usually unless I'm writing something on my desk, I have the radio on, and of course it's 96.5. But I noticed of any of the DJs, I think that your voice and the way you are centered and targeted is the most inviting of them. Of all, it's a very particular set of skills and talents, and I think sensitivities too. What would you suggest to somebody who would like to grow up and be a radio DJ? What kinds of things would you study or need or practice?
I think creating a podcast is a pretty easy way of going about that, right? That wasn't really that much of a thing when I was a teenager or, looking to get into this profession. I went the street team route, which is also great if those jobs are available, and learning the inside of the business, right? And meeting the people that I'd need to meet, like my future program director and stuff like that, and creating inroads. So that's one way. I really enjoyed street team if those jobs are still available. But making a podcast, anyone can do that, right? I'm pretty sure most people have a podcast. Everyone at this point. It doesn't take much to get some equipment and create a few episodes. I say that because I think first you just got to get used to the sound of your own voice. I remember when I first started burning my tape, my show onto a CD, and then driving around town in my Dodge Neon, listening to my show. I was like, this is awful. This is terrible. How did they let me on the air? Like, I'm so bad. But like, that's your initial reaction, right? Because you're not used to it. You're not used to hearing your own voice in that way. So just getting comfortable, right? So start recording a podcast, put yourself out there, get used to your voice, your sound, your vision. And that's how you kind of grow. You start getting those reps in, getting to know who you are, because you don't know who you are yet until you start getting into it. Right.
Yes.
So I think now, yeah. Create that podcast or start doing some TikToks, put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to fail.
I think that's super advice. It's true, because you can't make it through life without ever failing at something.
Right.
So, but picking yourself up and jumping back in really is what it's all about. Yeah. Now, you must be, I would think, very aware of your audience. I mean, not just from the call-ins, but the music that's requested. Was that something specific to become aware of, who the audience is?
100%. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what I think about each and every morning. And I think about my wife, honestly, when I crack the microphone. Do I think my wife will find this funny? Do I think my wife will find this relatable? And I kind of go in with that mindset. Like, I'm going to talk to my wife for 4 hours today on the air. I know she's listening. I know she listens a lot at home. So she's right smack dab in the middle of our demo. Our main demo is 25-54 female, and my wife is a 34 female from South Jersey. So it's, I kind of shoot in that direction and hope it lands. With radio, you never quite know. It's not like being up on stage and getting that immediate laugh or silence. You just don't know. With radio, you're just like, I hope what I did was good.
I hope they're laughing.
Yeah, we'll see when it comes to ratings time. But you just put yourself out there. You put your best foot forward and be you, be authentic, be genuine. And that's all you can do, right? And hope that the audience can feel that.
I think, too, that close family members, especially a spouse, they're kind of the hardest audience. So that's like knowing that Colleen is listening to you. I mean, you really Boy, you got to sit up straight,
I
right?
do. I sit up straight. If I know she's listening, I'm like, all right, I gotta be on today. It does. It gives you a little boost. But if I can make my wife laugh, I know that I'm on the right track because she'll tell me if it's not funny. She'll tell me how it is.
I loved the Kira story yesterday and then people were calling in saying, well, you have to fold a toddler in half and then put them in the car seat.
Fold toddler. Got
really?
it. All right. Yeah. I love hearing people's POVs. It's so funny. So great. Yeah. So we just had, the topic was, how did your kid embarrass you? So moms were calling up how their kid embarrassed you. So it's fun, everything. I always want to make it lighthearted. You know what I mean? We're just goofing off, having fun for a few hours. You know what I mean?
You do that, but there really is a sense of serious gravitas to it that you bring that I think is really important. Like when you talk about anxiety or mental health or finding homes for dogs. I mean, there's an awful lot of serious stuff that you are dealing with in the course of this very positive, energetic broadcast.
Yeah.
But we're not missing that. And that is really important. I mean, after you found this tiny little dog that you thought was a squirrel in the middle of the road, Kiki, it was all over Instagram. Where is this dog?
Yeah. He was so cute. Kiki the dog. I thought it was a new species of squirrel that I was unaware of. I was like, what is that? So luckily we found the owner after I put it on social, but yeah, I like to, the dogs first and foremost, like I'm a huge animal lover. So like when I first came to Philadelphia, I wanted to attach myself to the Pennsylvania SPCA and seeing what they do day in and day out to save these dogs, cats, animals in general. I'm hosting their gala this weekend, actually. I'm very excited. I wanted to do work with them. And if they ask me to do anything, I say yes. They are amazing. And then with mental health, I feel like it's not talked about enough. I think we've made progress, talking about mental health and anxiety and the struggle that is. But I think just laying it out there and not being afraid to be vulnerable. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I think anxiety and depression's made me who I am and made me aware and cognizant of the fact that most people are going through something like this, and you're not alone. Here I am each and every morning, and and I'm always here.
Well, with our 2 minutes that are left, is there anything that you have in mind for future, or that you're looking forward to trying on air, or anything we should look forward to?
Just more of my daily madness that I like to take onto the air the next day, right? All the fun stories that's going on in my life, turn it into morning material. But outside of that, just looking to grow this show more and more, to grow our family. And who knows, maybe take it from Philadelphia to nationwide, maybe one of these days. Keep it going, right?
Yes, I love the sound of that. And I think that you're coming from a unique position and delivering all this with incredible charm.
That's very, very kind of you to say. It really is. It made my day when I got the invite to be on the show. So I'm just so honored to be a part of it. And thanks for all the great questions. You've taught me a thing or two about interviews, so I appreciate it.
Great. Oh, well, you are welcome back anytime. If you feel there's something that is worth imparting that we didn't cover, we'd love to have you back.
I love it
so much, Bennett.
Thank you, Carol. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow.